Welcome to Chapter 3, the 1945 Pivot, focusing on the shift from soldiers to debt. This video is based on The Silent Creditor by Sam Prajnananda. Before we begin, what is GrioWave Platform? We are a sovereign digital platform dedicated to creating, preserving, and distributing knowledge, music, and stories that empower communities. We invite you to support our work by sharing, collaborating, or contributing. The Bretton Woods Conference in 1944 saw 730 delegates meet to prevent economic volatility and founded the IMF and World Bank. A glaring omission was that Africa was largely represented by its colonizers. The Great Pivot saw a shift in control mechanisms from physical to financial occupation. The soldier was replaced by the debt auditor and the colonial governor by the technical advisor. Africa became locked into a system where wealth acted as collateral for unnecessary loans. The post-war crisis was a major problem for imperialism. Europe was physically ruined and financially insolvent in 1945, with Britain becoming a debtor nation to the US. The paradox was the need for African resources for industry, but the inability to afford military suppression. Managed decolonization was the solution, granting political independence but maintaining economic integration. This offloaded administration costs onto African governments while retaining control over resources. The Bretton Woods institutions served as a neutral arbiter. The new effective occupation shifted from the Berlin Conference's requirement for boots on the ground to Bretton Woods control through conditionality. Debt became the primary tool of systemic control. The first point is odious starting capital. African nations did not start independence with a clean slate. They were coerced into assuming debts incurred by colonial administrations, including loans used to build prisons for independence leaders. The FX trap created a permanent need for foreign exchange. African currencies were not convertible in the new global system, forcing nations to earn US dollars or pounds to service debt, leading to the raw export trap. The second point is structural adjustment programs, or SAPs. In the 1970s and 80s, commodity prices crashed and Western interest rates soared. The IMF acted as the lender of last resort, granting loans only if states accepted policy mandates conditionality. Part A of the SAP cure involved currency devaluation, subsidizing Western consumption with cheaper exports, while stifling African industrialization with expensive machinery. Austerity led to drastic cuts in education and healthcare, weakening human capital. Part B of the SAP cure included privatization, selling state-owned assets to foreign multinationals at fire sale prices, effectively leveraging buyouts of entire nations. The policy goal shifted from citizen welfare to debt repayment. There is a myth of development assistance. Billions in aid have flowed to Africa since 1960. However, for every $1 in aid, $10 to $15 leaves through debt interest and mispriced trade. Aid functions as a maintenance fee to keep extraction flowing. A case study is the franc zone and the IMF. The CFA franc, created in 1945, is pegged to the French franc euro. African members deposited 50% to 100% of reserves into the French treasury, effectively lending their cash to France at near zero interest. The result is a pincer movement of IMF and French treasury, prioritizing currency stability over sovereignty. Loans stabilize the currency so French companies can expatriate profits, keeping West African wealth as a liquidity pool for European finance. Another case study is the DRC and the mining codes. In the early 2000s, the World Bank helped draft the DRC's mining code, resulting in massive tax holidays, low royalties, and stability clauses, codifying the spreadsheet of extraction into sovereign law. The cooperation of the African elite, or comprador class, is key. They aligned with creditors over their own people, creating a triangular trade of corruption. Leader gets kickback, Western firm gets contract, public gets debt. The elite became debt collectors for the global north. The narrative shifted from rights to needs. Pre-1945, Africans fought for rights like land and sovereignty. Post-1945, the narrative shifted to needs, such as aid and debt relief, moving the conversation from restitution for theft to charity for underdevelopment. In conclusion, Bretton Woods acts as the administrative wing of a creditor's cartel. True autonomy requires financial decolonization, meaning countries must renegotiate from a position of resource power, not debt weakness, by defaulting on the narrative. Please like this video to help others find this content, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a deep dive, and share this with a friend or colleague who needs to see this. The video suggests strategic action steps: form an African monetary fund to prioritize industrialization, audit odious debt and refuse to service loans that didn't benefit the people, and renegotiate stability clauses to allow sovereign states to adjust taxes. Thank you for watching. For further exploration of this topic, please check the description.